Have you ever wondered why some parts of our planet are always shaking and erupting, while other places are, pretty chill? Well, today, we're taking a deep dive into the most geologically explosive, ground-shaking place on the entire planet. So buckle up, because we are about to solve a massive global mystery.
So where are we headed? To this enormous zone that makes a kind of horseshoe shape all the way around the Pacific Ocean. Now, it's not a literal ring of fire, but trust me, with its fiery temper, the name fits. It's called the Ring of Fire, and it is, hands down, the most powerful and dynamic place on Earth.
Okay, to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, let's start with this number. The Ring of Fire is home to a whopping 75% of the world's volcanoes. Yeah, you heard that right, 3/4 of them. So for every 4 volcanoes on Earth, 3 of them are right here. When you picture a volcano erupting, chances are you're thinking of a scene from somewhere along this ring. And it's not just about what's coming up from the ground, it's about the ground itself. A mind-blowing 90% of all the world's earthquakes happen right here. That means 9 out of every 10 earthquakes you've ever heard about, they probably happen somewhere along this exact path. It is a constant hotbed of activity.
Which brings us to the big question, right? What in the world is going on here? What kind of colossal force of nature is powerful enough to create so much focused chaos? What's the engine driving all of this volcanic and seismic action? Well, the answer is hiding deep, deep beneath the Earth's surface.
The whole secret to the Ring of Fire is something called convergent plate boundaries. Now, I know that sounds super technical and kind of boring, but really, it's just a sciencey way of saying this is where giant pieces of the Earth's crust are smashing into each other. Seriously, forget a car crash. This is like a slow-motion collision of continents.
So try to picture the Earth's outer shell, not as one solid piece, but like a giant, cracked eggshell. It's broken up into these massive puzzle pieces called tectonic plates. They're basically continent-sized slabs of rock, and they're always moving, just floating on the hotter, softer rock below. Now, they only move about as fast as your fingernails grow, but over millions of years, that adds up. A convergent boundary is just a spot where 2 of these giant plates are headed right for each other. It's ground zero for all the action.
Okay, so here's the most important part. When 2 plates crash into each other, it's never an equal fight. One of them always has to give way. And when one of those plates is an oceanic plate, the kind of rock that makes up the ocean floor, it always loses. It's just made of denser, heavier rock, so it gets forced down and basically recycled back into the Earth.
And this whole process has a really cool name, subduction. The absolute best way to picture it is to imagine a heavy bowling ball smashing into a giant inflatable pool float. The bowling ball, that's our dense, heavy oceanic plate. The pool float is the lighter continental plate it's running into. The bowling ball doesn't just bump it. Nope, it slides right underneath, sinking down into the water. That sinking process, that's subduction.
So how does this whole subduction thing actually make volcanoes? Let's break it down. First, boom, the plates collide. Then, the denser plate, our bowling ball, starts its long, slow dive deep into the Earth's mantle. The mantle is this super hot, kind of gooey layer of rock right under the crust. As the plate sinks deeper, the heat and pressure get insane. It's like pushing a popsicle into a bonfire. It just starts to melt, turning back into hot, molten rock. We call that magma.
All right, so we know subduction creates magma. Awesome. But what happens next? Well, let's look at our first scenario, a true heavyweight battle. In this corner, we've got the ocean floor, the mighty oceanic plate. And in the other corner, the sprawling edge of a continent. Let's see what happens when they go head-to-head.
As that oceanic plate sinks down and melts, all that new magma it's creating is really hot and less dense than the rock around it. So you know what it wants to do? It wants to rise. It pushes its way up through the continental plate above it, collecting in these giant underground pools. Eventually, the pressure gets to be too much and boom, it erupts on the surface. And this isn't just a one-time thing. Over millions of years, eruption after eruption piles up, building these enormous volcanic mountains, one fiery layer at a time. Geologists call this beautiful and dangerous line of volcanoes a continental arc. So why an arc? Well, because the line of volcanoes forms this gentle curve that perfectly matches the curved edge of the subduction zone deep underground. It's pretty cool. You end up with this amazing arc-shaped chain of volcanoes running right along the edge of a continent.
And hey, if you want to see the world's greatest, most textbook example of this, just look at the Andes Mountains. This huge mountain range runs for thousands of miles along the western coast of South America, and it's a classic continental arc. It was formed and is still being formed right now by an oceanic plate diving under the South American plate. Every single volcano and every peak there is proof of this massive, ongoing collision.
So that's what happens when an ocean plate meets a continent. But what happens when two oceanic plates collide way out in the middle of the ocean? It's like our two bowling balls crashing into each other. When you have two heavyweights going at it, which one gets forced to sink?
Well, it turns out that not all oceanic plates are created equal. As oceanic crust moves across the seafloor, it cools down. And as it cools over millions of years, it gets denser and heavier. So when two of these plates collide, it's always the older, colder, and therefore denser plate that takes the dive and subducts underneath the younger one.
From there, the process is pretty much exactly the same. The sinking plate melts, magma rises, and it erupts. But here's the huge difference. All of this is happening out in the middle of the ocean. So instead of making mountains on land, the volcanoes build up from the deep sea floor. Over time, these underwater volcanoes can grow so tall that they actually poke out above the surface of the water, creating a chain of volcanic islands. And we call this an island arc.
And a lot of famous places are actually island arcs. Japan, with Mount Fuji, is a perfect example. The Philippine Islands, Indonesia, the Aleutian Islands off the coast of Alaska, they're all active island arcs born from the collision of two oceanic plates. And because these collisions happen under the ocean, the earthquakes they create can move huge amounts of water, and that's what creates devastating tsunamis. It's why these beautiful island nations also face the highest tsunami risk in the world.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap of the two types of arcs. A continental arc, like the Andes, forms on the edge of a continent when an oceanic plate sinks under it. An island arc, like Japan, forms out in the ocean when an older oceanic plate sinks under a younger one. The engine is the same, it's all subduction, but the location gives you two totally different and equally dramatic results.
All right, we now have our two key suspects, continental arcs on land and island arcs in the sea. We've got our crime scene, the Pacific Ocean. So it is time to put all the clues together and finally solve the mystery of the Ring of Fire.
And here it is, the big reveal. The Ring of Fire isn't some single mysterious thing. It's actually just a massive, connected chain of subduction zones that lines the edges of the gigantic Pacific Plate. It's made up of all the continental and island arcs we just talked about, strung together like fiery pearls on a necklace.
That's right, just follow the path. You've got the continental arc of the Andes in South America that connects up to the volcanoes in Central America and North America, which links up with the Aleutian Island arc, which then curves down to the island arcs of Japan, the Philippines, and Indonesia. They're all just different links in this one massive, world-circling chain of geologic chaos. It is where all of Earth's most epic collisions are happening all at the same time.
So let's just do a super quick rundown of what we learned. Convergent boundaries are where plates smash together. Subduction is the key process where a denser plate sinks and melts, creating the magma that fuels volcanoes. And this one process creates two major types of volcanic chains, continental arcs on land, like the Andes, and island arcs in the ocean, like Japan. Put them all together, and you've got the Ring of Fire.
And that brings us to a final, really cool thought. This isn't ancient history. The plates are still pushing, still colliding, and still subducting right now as you're watching this. So the next time you look at a map or see a mountain range or an island chain, just ask yourself, what epic collision created this? The forces that built our world are still hard at work, shaping the planet we're going to see tomorrow.